Attending the meeting tonight are the 7 Conservation Commission members: Eric Colley, Margaret Wheeler, Jim Gozzo, Ann Jeffries, Marilyn Frank, Noel Donovan, and Peter Mahler, in accordance with the Conservation Resource Planner and the Assistant Planner. This meeting is being recorded by the Westford Cable Access TV. We respectfully ask that everyone mute their computer microphones and phones when they are not in use to avoid unnecessary noise during the meeting. This is an open meeting, so all panelists who have access to the chat panel, please only use chat for technical issues related to the video conferencing. The commission will proceed by opening the agenda items, having the applicant or the representative present the project, or if previously open in a public meeting, they will provide a brief summary of the project. The commission and staff will follow questions, and then we'll open it up to the public for questions and comments. At this point, if you wish to participate, you will raise your hand and your microphone will be unmuted for you to participate. Due to the limitations of the platform, attendees that are accessing the meeting via the telephone number at the top of the agenda will only be able to listen to the proceedings and will not be able to contribute. Please access the video conference via the link on the agenda, even if you do not have a webcam to participate. I'll take a roll call. Eric?
Here.
Margaret?
Here.
Marilyn? Noel?
Here.
Jim?
I'm audio only, but I'm here.
Okay, and Ann?
Yes,
We
I'm
can
here.
see you, Jim.
We can
And
see.
Peter's here. Jim, we can see you, so.
Great. Okay.
Okay, our first agenda item is open forum. Anything from the commission? Noel?
I had I'm a member of a Facebook group here in Nabnasset, and a couple people reached out to me because there's been a lot of littering and also burning of trees in the conservation area across from Edwards Beach, and there's a lot of lawn clipping dumpings going on in there that people were concerned about. So I was asked to bring that before the board tonight. So I am.
Okay, it's an ongoing problem. I mean, we have put up a sign. Carol, have you had any more from highway or anything on this?
I had talked to them about at some point putting up some boulders, you know, when they had a chance to do that, but we haven't. I haven't had them do that quite yet. I don't know if they've got them in store. And I guess the tree burning is new to me. I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, if that's going on, I mean, they need to call the police or the fire department, because, you know, one, they're burning without a permit in a drought, and two, what they're doing is illegal. So
Right.
They really should call the fire department or the police department and report it.
I'll let them. This was just brought to my attention today, so I'll let them
Sure.
know.
Yeah, they shouldn't be afraid to call the authorities. All right. So,
All right.
anything else from the commission? Carol?
Yeah, I had a call with a guy today who was interested in doing some filming at East Boston camps on the girls' side. I told him that we had, you know, canceled all of our activities at this point, but I also said I would bring it up just to see whether that might be something that the commission would entertain. He just sent me an email with the information late this afternoon. I think the one thing that might not work for them, if we were to even consider it, is they have a scene where they wanted to have someone on a dirt bike. And I told them that I thought that the CR wouldn't allow any use of the motor vehicles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's correct, unless it's for emergency purposes.
Yeah. So I'll let him know that that's a no. And then if he wants to pursue the rest of it, I guess I'll have him get back to us for the next meeting. You know, get something in your packet.
Yeah. Make sure he gives you the details, like how many people and how long they're going to be up there and what are they going to use.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair, this is Matt.
Yep.
End of last week, I signed off on the Eagle Scout project at Grassy Pond. The new kiosk is installed. It looks pretty good. He and his group of volunteers did a really good job on it. Recommend everybody take a look.
Okay, great. Anything for open forum from the audience? I don't see any hands raised. Do you, Matt?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, we're going to move on to our first agenda item, which is a public hearing for the Senate, 13 Sought For Road. This is an IDA. This is a legal notice under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Wetlands Non-Zoning Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 171. The Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. via remote participation to consider a request for determination of applicability for Peter Center for the removal of 2 pine trees and trimming of 2 deciduous tree branches within 100 feet of the jurisdictional wetland at 13 Sought For Road. This is map 41, parcel 17.
Mr. Senior, unmute yourself. There should be a red microphone probably on the right side of your screen. If you hit that, you will unmute yourself. Can you try speaking? Because I think you have your, you're connected with a telephone. Oh, no, okay, no audio. Viewed by artists. Here.
Matt, do you want to just go over some of the things and see if you can nod or? I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Did you do the site visit there?
Yes, I did a quick site visit. Mr. Sina, at the bottom of the email confirmation that you received today, there should be a telephone number to dial in. You can call in directly.
So Matt, what I saw was that the removal of 2 pine trees and trimming of 2 deciduous trees.
Yes, so the 2 pine trees are located at the rear of the lot from Sought For Road. Quite large. I mean, they're, as with most of the pine trees in that area. Additionally, Mr. Sina is looking to remove a couple branches from the deciduous trees alongside the lake that are starting to overhang the house.
So Matt, how far are those 2 pine trees from the lake?
I would say over 50 feet.
So if we allow them to take those 2 out, we generally want them to plant 2 trees, something, a smaller variety.
Was there a reason those trees needed to come down?
I think it was concerns with just safety of the house after the windstorm from May. That area is quite heavily forested with those pine trees.
Can people hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, what can I tell you?
Tell us about the 2 pine trees and why you want to take down those 2 pine trees and how far are they from the pond?
They are approximately 30 to 40 feet from the pond. They are right behind our house, literally probably around 7 or 8 feet from the side of our house. When the microbursts came through, it wasn't dead trees that came down. It was live trees where the branches caught the wind. A lot of pines came down on our street. Houses and cars got damaged, and these are very tall and very close to our house. So we're concerned.
And they're between our house and our neighbor's house, so our neighbor's little cottage.
Well,
I can completely understand why you'd want these down as far as your house goes. I was living down on the Cape when the tornado hit, and it seemed like all of the pitch pines that were top heavy just kind of snapped in half, and all the other trees were mostly okay. Are you planning on planting more trees to replace these two trees?
Not there, because it's really not, it's our neighbor's property, and, you know, 2 houses down, our neighbor's car got crushed and one fell on our house. So, you know, with that happening, I don't think we're planning to put 2 more trees in there.
well, you're gonna have to,
Yeah, you are.
you're gonna have to plant two trees somewhere. So you need to pick out a spot where you can plant 2 new trees. They don't have to be pine trees that grow to 180 feet tall. They can be, you know, a maple tree that grows to 30 feet and doesn't have a huge single trunk. But you're gonna have to plant two trees. And the other thing with these 2 trees, because they're within 30 feet, I think we're gonna make you leave the stumps in.
Leave the stump. He said he's going to make us leave.
Oh yeah, right. We weren't planning on having the stumps ground.
Are these
Okay.
trees property, or is this the neighbor's property?
It's, you know, things are not clearly defined, but I think it's the neighbor's property, don't you?
It's the trees may, part of them may touch the boundary line between the 2 properties. They are primarily on the neighbor's property. We've spoken to the neighbor. He has no issue with us having them taken down.
Are the neighbors on this call?
Yeah. And is it for the subject property?
So can I just say that when Mr. Cena was making the inquiry about this, anybody can file a
Carol.
request for determination, even if it's not their property. So, you know, he did ask about doing it that way, and he had spoken to the neighbors. I don't remember if you sent us anything from them.
They did, no, not specifically. I mean, they are abutters, so they did receive a legal notice.
A phone call from them or an email or something would be nice, especially if there's some doubt whether these 2 trees are on your property or the neighbor's. I don't want to be saying go ahead and cut them down and then find out they're on the neighbor's property and then have the neighbors upset with it.
And then the neighbors are going to be responsible for planting 2 new trees.
No, that's not true. I mean, this is in their name, okay? This is not the neighbors. This is in their name. They've got to plant the tree on their property, okay?
Okay.
It's a legal issue if they cut down a neighbor's tree without their permission. I mean, then the neighbor can sue them. All right. But as far as replanting the trees, they've got to plant them on their property.
Okay.
So you need to find a place
Well,
where you can plant 2 new trees.
Would a letter from the neighbor do just as well? I know he did sign the notice. So, I mean, I
That's
did
fine.
not have
Yeah.
okay.
That's
so
fine. You can supply that, okay, before you do this. But you need to decide where you want to plant 2 new trees.
Yeah, I think we have very little private land, but
What would be your rules in terms of where the new trees get planted? Do they have to be within a certain distance of the ones we're cutting down? I'm not even understanding.
It'd be nice if they're within, you know, the 50-foot buffer. I mean, the whole idea here is to try to maintain the whole bank issue. Okay, that's why we don't want you stumping those, because we want the bank to remain intact, because you're sloping downhill to the. So what about on the other side of your?
Might be helpful if their arborist, whoever's gonna do the tree removal, could give them some advice on, where they could plant a couple trees that are gonna serve sort of the same functions. I mean, I'm happy to help them with it too, but if they have professional arborists, they might be able to give them some advice as well.
Okay.
So Carol, we'll leave that up to you, that
Sure,
you'll okay the locations of the 2 new trees?
that's fine.
Fine.
Okay,
And I'm fine, I'm okay with the trimming of the 2 deciduous branches. Those are clearly overhanging the house. I think those have to come off.
I agree.
Marilyn?
I think that all of that is fine. I would like to just see a diagram, and I don't have to see it before the fact, but as part of our file as to where they planted these 2 trees so that we have it for the permanent record.
Didn't you
Yes,
give
that's
them that?
fine.
Oh,
Where
where
we
did the
planted
trees go? Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
it's leaving it that open-ended, I would have a sense in the file, as these 2 trees came down, these 2 trees were planted X amount of feet from the, from the.
So if you would like to issue a conditional negative determination, we can make that a condition of that approval.
I just think
Right.
it completes the folder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other
So-
questions from the commission?
In terms of next steps, I mean, we will contact the owner of the property to get, either a phone call or a letter from him approving it. Do we then have to go on the agenda for next month's meeting, or?
No. No, we're gonna conditionally approve it tonight, okay?
Okay.
All right?
All right.
And you just follow up with Carol, you get that letter, and then follow up with Carol where you're gonna plant the 2 trees, and submit that to her, and you'll be all set, okay?
Good, thank you.
Are there any questions from the audience on this? I don't see any. Okay, can I have a motion for a conditional negative?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes.
Okay.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is a public hearing for McDonald, 18 Pine Tree Trail. This is another RDA. This is a legal notice in the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Wetlands Non-Zoning Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 171. Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. for remote participation to consider a request for determination of applicability of David McDonald for the removal of overgrown vegetation, regrading and seeding of lawn area, and installation of a fence within 100 feet of the jurisdictional wetland at 18 Pine Tree Trail, assesses map 78, parcel 74. Welcome.
Good evening. Can you hear
So
me?
tell us about your project.
Well, we're in the midst of framing the house. If you've been by, Matt's been there on a site visit. And I had met with Carol when we did the 100-yard delineation, 100 feet. And our proposal is to clean up the brush. We did clean up some without bringing any machinery in because of the bees. We cleaned enough so that we could work safely around the site, which would be approximately from that furthest stake at the back of the house. Cleaned it out in about a 10-foot radius to that out towards the driveway so that we could work safely without being stung. But what we'd like to do is finish cleaning up the area we have. Are you looking at the plan I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay, we'd like to clean that out. There's a mound of dirt that was left from the previous contractor. We'd like to grade that in towards the house. And then lumen seed that area. In the front of the house, there's like a 10-foot area that we want to basically leave as it is, clean up. And with my son is going to live in this house. So with this house isn't being sold for profit. Would like to plant a row of maybe 10 or 12 arborvitaes to put a like a privacy area from the street. And then the circles, the X's you see on the plan are an existing fence line. We would like to add anything you see as a circle on the plan on both sides is a new fence. My son does have a dog, and although he walks her all the time, I mean, if she has an area that she can go out in, he would like that. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of it.
Okay, so the issue here is we can't see how close you are from the wetland. There's no markings here to tell us where the wetland is.
Yes.
And how
The
far.
shaded area that's on our property,
Yeah,
if you look, there's 4 stakes. There's one almost even to the back of the foundation, one almost in the middle, one at the front corner, and then one far to the left, almost on the street. That is 100 feet from the spillway, I guess I'm going to call it, where the dam is. And Carol had seen that.
Yeah, there's a stream that comes out of Nabnasset and the pond, and it's across the street from this lot. And also on the north side of the lot, which we don't have a north side, but on the right-hand side of what you're looking at is actually town land. So there's a strip of natural area. I'm gonna say, I don't know, what would you say? That's like a 40-foot strip, maybe? Around there?
Give or take.
So I think that the extent of the work that they want to do is probably about, at the closest would be 80 feet. If even that, it might be between 90 and 100.
So the road side of the 50.
Yes.
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah, there's a
So
road
is
in
it-
between, there's a lot in between, and then there's some natural vegetation even on the other side still.
okay. And is it flat,
Okay.
Carol?
No, it's not flat. It does slope down to the street. So
That is
yeah,
a street.
I can't remember, did we talk about erosion controls? Were you gonna put something in, or your silt fence?
Yes, Matt, I had to put a silt fence up temporarily when I cleaned out the overgrowth, and Matt had asked if we do the rest of the project, I would put a new silt fence out in one of those hay socks, which I have no problem doing. I just want to get it so it's cleaned up and usable naturally. And the lot runs out about 25 feet from the right side of the house, fairly flat, and then it starts to grade down to the street. I'm guessing at that point, the street is probably 10 feet lower than us. So I don't know what the degrees are, but I do know it's substantial in my eyes.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission members? Noel?
I actually used to live on Pine Tree Trail, and I'm glad that this lot is finally being used for something. It's been empty for a really long time. I went down there today on my bike, and I noticed that along the side of the road that is parallel to the waterway, there's a lot of dumping that's been going on there throughout the years, and there's a trail that goes into the people who live on the back of the house, 29 Burn Ave, that obviously is leading towards all of that dumping that's being done along the side of the road there. Is that what you were planning on getting rid of on the what you marked as the unaffected area? Is that all that dumping? 'Cause there's some pokeweed in there, and there's some I mean, I know there's a lot of poison ivy in there, but that's not technically an invasive, that's a native species, so.
Noel, I think that that's not their property. I think that's a piece that's owned by the town,
Okay,
by the selectmen. It's under selectmen.
Yeah, selectmen's parcel.
all right. So in the unaffected area that's alongside of that road, that's all town land?
Correct.
The unaffected area that's shown on their plan is their parcel, and then there's land beyond that. If you look at the town map, you see that a little, you can see that.
Yeah,
I don't know, do we have that map? Do we have the locust map?
I can pull it up.
that is the area where there is dumping going on, and there's a lot of pokeweed growing up in there that I'd like to see taken out, managed, as that's a pretty invasive non-native species.
You say it's under the care and custody of the selectmen, Carol?
Well, I'm not sure where she's talking about, if she's talking about on their property or where I have seen dumping on the street side along the waterway. But
On the street,
again,
yeah, on the street side along the waterway, even around the corner on Pine Tree Trail itself, there's dumping going on, and there's invasive species in there on the corner of their property.
yeah, so they don't own all the way to the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick it out, but they don't own this parcel.
That's bizarre. All right.
Yeah, the land between Pine Tree and Burn Ave is owned by the town. There's
Yeah,
two
so-
lots there.
Okay.
Well, if you want, well, we can send the selectmen a letter, stating that they should clean up their property.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Are both of those lots there, adjacent to Pine Tree Trail? Are both of those selectmen?
Yes.
All right, when we ask them to clean up their property, the one small parcel closest to the dam, 078, 0076, that parcel, I think sometimes has a vehicle parked on it.
No,
Well, that's right on the edge of his.
yes, you're correct. Yeah. On the corner of Burn Ave.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a car parked in there. I don't know anything about the
I don't know
car.
I don't either, but I don't think it should be there. Anyway, I think this parcel is okay with what's being proposed by the applicant.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any questions from the audience on this application?
Oh, I did have one more thing. Can we put in the order of conditions that because it's such a slope down towards the water, that they don't use any fertilizers, herbicides, or pesticides on the property that's in the buffer zone?
It's your call. I mean, we're going to do whatever you tell us to do.
So again, because it's a determination, you're just determining, whether the project's going to have an impact. You can make it a conditional approval, but because it's not a recorded document, it's not something that's going to run with the deed.
We can put it in the order, just as an info, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying you can do a conditional negative determination, but I'm just explaining that it doesn't necessarily carry forward because once
Doesn't
that
carry
determination expires in 3 years, it's not valid any longer.
Right. Okay. All right, can I have a motion to approve this as a conditional negative?
Yes,
Moved. I'm sorry.
All in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
And Peter, yes. Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Okay, do we need to come and sign anything or do anything?
Now, when
Yeah,
the documents are ready, we can let you know, and either you can pick them up or we can send them out to you, whatever's easiest.
Okay, thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, gonna find the next one. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next agenda item, and that is for a public hearing for Hoare, 49 Russell's Way. It's an IDA. This is a legal notice under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Wetlands Non-Zoning Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 171, Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 9, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. Their remote participation to consider request for determination of applicability of Jennifer Hoare for the removal of an existing deck and reconstruction of a larger deck, 20 by 12, on concrete footings within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland at 49 Russell's Way. Assessors map 48, parcel 11, lot 57. Welcome.
Hi, this is Mike. This is Jen's here as well. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Great, good. Okay, so yeah, I mean, very simply, we have an old deck and we just want to replace it because due to age, weathering, et cetera, it's about 23 years old. It's starting to fall apart. The boards are coming up, and it's I would say getting a bit to the point where it's getting a bit unsafe. It's time to be replaced. And then the new deck is, I would just say, very slightly larger than the existing deck. I think it's maybe a foot or two further away from the house, and then lengthwise again. Yeah, it's about 3 feet, but it's actually what we did is you see the stairs there. The stairs are facing the other way, so it actually goes to the same. I guess it's just as long, but the deck itself's a little larger because the stairs are sideways instead of perpendicular.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the closest point to the wetland?
Yeah, it would be exactly probably the I guess the line away from the house. The wetlands are I guess on the deck side of the house. So there's basically there's some more lawn there, and then beyond the lawn there's some woods, and then there's paths back there, walking paths, and then beyond that there's eventually a pond.
Okay, so you don't know how close the edge of the deck is, how many feet away from the wetland it is?
Peter, it's about 90 feet, 85, 90 feet.
Okay,
Oh,
Thank you. I actually don't know. I appreciate that.
okay. So is this a flat lot, Carol?
I actually didn't do the site visit. Matt, did you go over there?
Yes, I did, Mr. Chair. It does slope off from the deck down towards the wetland, but it is, I mean, the lot is stable. I mean, the lot,
Okay.
the dwelling has been there for years.
All right, so are you going to be digging new footings?
That's a great question. I don't believe so. I mean, basically the current deck, it's two rectangular beams, I guess, that hold the deck up. And I'm assuming the new deck's very similar. I mean, we picked the design more based on price, so I assume it's good. He's going to reuse them if he can. Jim, it looks like Jim has a question. I'm just seeing his hand up.
Yeah, Jim.
Jim, go ahead.
Could we put up the plan, and if Matt can read it, please indicate how far those arcs are. I can't read any of the numbers on the plan at all.
So Jim, the plan was up.
Yep, there it is. There it is. Got it.
And
Okay, I can see the arcs, but I don't see any numbers indicating
yeah,
how far.
that other arc, the other arc that is just cutting the deck is the 100-foot buffer zone.
Yeah. so
Okay, the other one
it's-
is 50.
Yeah,
The
the
other
other
one's
one's
50.
50, and then your wetland.
Okay. Got it. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
So Matt, if they were going to dig new footings, is it okay? Is it far enough away and there's no chance of runoff heading down towards that wetland?
I think erosion, the installation of erosion controls would prevent any, especially while they are digging footings. It is in the contractor's scope of work to prepare, dig, and pour concrete for 5
yeah.
footings. So I think
Right.
the installation of erosion controls, especially while the footings are being dug and prepared, would be beneficial.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience? Don't see any. Okay, so can we approve this as a conditional negative?
Second,
Okay. All in favor, Eric?
yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Joelle?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric?
yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Joelle?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter? Yes. Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you. And what do we need to do next? Just wait, we'll receive something from you, or when can we proceed?
Carol will notify you when everything's ready.
Okay,
Great.
thank you,
All right.
Carol.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank
Yep,
you.
thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next agenda item, which is a public hearing for Quinn's Construction, 9 Villanova Drive, another RDA. Did I hit that right? Yeah. This is a legal notice under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Wetlands Non-Zoning Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 171. Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. for a remote participation to consider request for determination of applicability of Quinn's Construction. So the removal of an existing deck and reconstruction of a larger deck, 25 by 12, on concrete footings within 100 feet of jurisdictional wetland at 9 Villanova Drive. This is map 64, parcel 11. Welcome.
That's what I thought.
Hi,
You're on.
just for the record, the deck is gonna be the exact same size as it is now. I don't know how some miscommunication happened.
So what's the footing like on the deck?
Footings are gonna be piers, 12-inch piers,
So like on sonotube or,
sonotube and a Bigfoot.
how many?
There'll be 5 of them.
Okay. Any erosion control issues like we might have discussed like in our last public
Now, we'll put
hearing?
erosion walls out in the back of the deck when we dig the holes and during the construction of the deck.
Peter, how close
Okay.
is he? What's his closest point?
The wetland,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's about, from the map that I see, it shows 162 feet, 12 feet for the deck. It'd be 150 feet.
wouldn't be before us if it was 150 feet.
Yeah, that's to the back lot line.
Yeah,
The scale on the plan, I think, was 1 inch equals 30.
looks like he's well over 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't have any issues with it. As a conditional negative with erosion controls.
Yeah.
I'm good.
That's fine. Any questions from the commission?
No, good, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? I don't see any hands raised. Okay, can I have a motion to approve this as a conditional negative?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric?
yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric?
yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is a public hearing for Botano, 24 Chippewa Road, 334-1757. This is a legal notice under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Wetlands Non-Zoning Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 171. Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. via remote participation in the notice of intent application of Jennifer Botano for the demolition of an existing attached deck and construction of a screen porch with associated site grading with 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland at 24 Chippewa Road. This is map 28, parcel 105. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to review this. We live at 24 Chippewa Road, and what we're looking to do is remove our existing deck, which is 12 by 14, similar to the horror situation, just weathering and becoming unsafe. There's starting to look like the shape of a U. So we're looking to replace that with a screen deck that has the same footprint. There will be no mechanical digging, and the contractor is planning on removing any excess dirt and soil from the property. And he will be putting a new roof on that will have gutters, so that will help with capturing any water, and the gravel that is under the deck will be kept there. So you can see on the drawing that Carol has been so wonderful and patient with me to help put together, where the closest spot is about 34 feet from the wetlands, and on the other side of the deck, it'll be about, roughly about 40 feet or so. Carol did the site visit. Matt, I don't know if you were along with her. Just the measurements were pretty close to what we have here on the drawing that we tried to do to scale.
Okay, so there's no digging. Where is the runoff from the gutter going to go? Is it going to go down a pipe into the gravel?
Yes, that's what he had indicated doing.
Okay. Questions from the commission? Pretty simple.
Yeah, none.
No? Any questions from the audience on this application? I don't see any. Okay, motion for a, I guess we don't have to condition this, do we, Carol? Is there anything to condition on?
So because it was so close and it was a change from a deck to a porch, they filed a notice of intent. So
Yeah.
we have not drafted an order, but we can do that for the next meeting.
Okay, so we'll continue this on to our next meeting, which is September 23rd. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Second,
All in favor? Eric?
yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes. So at our next meeting, you're going to get a draft order of conditions from Carol, and we're going to approve those at our next meeting. You do not have to come if you don't have any changes to that.
Great. Thank you so much, and I
Okay.
hope you all stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next agenda item is a request to modify an approved plan for La Croix 20 Village View Road, 334-1736. Penny, you there?
Yes. Hi.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. So all we're doing is we're changing the, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing. Can you see my mouse? No. Okay.
No.
The part where the tiers are and the little stars for the plants.
Yep, the perennials.
A slope that goes down to the top right. And we previously had that being a slope. And when we looked at it with all the, those downpours that we had this summer as we're doing the construction, we realized that there was a lot of runoff and we were going to need to do something more to control erosion. So we just, we'd like to put in tiers. So those little rectangles that go in arcs there, those are cobbles, like 7-inch high cobbles that will create little mini steps. And then each of those areas where the plants are will be relatively flat, so we won't have the runoff going all down to the top right there.
So what is currently in this area that you want to do this activity in? Is it grass? Is it natural?
So the grass is on the left-hand side. There would be grass. On the right-hand side are the plants that are listed.
What is there right now?
Oh, right now?
Yes.
What was in the original, Penny, what was in the original plan that we approved?
It was just putting the plants there without the tiers. So the
Okay,
tiers,
so we did approve the plants to go into this area.
Yes, you did.
Okay, all right.
So it's just a different design. It's, you know, it just has the levels rather than being just a slope.
exactly.
Yeah, and they're gonna act like water bars to hold back the water. So yeah, I think it looks good. Any other questions from the commission?
Nope.
So other than, I mean, you've got some permeable pavers, I mean, you're not going to do any maintenance other than just put this in and leave it, or are you maintaining this after the fact, or?
Well, it's our backyard. We'll be maintaining it the way we maintain a backyard.
I just didn't know how close, Carol, this was to a resource area. And if we had plantings here before, was it because we were closer to a resource area?
No, she had proposed to restore it to a kind of a naturalized garden area. That was always her intent. So beforehand, it was just an open grass yard area, and she wanted to put in the pavers and vegetate it with native plants. So it was all intended to be kind of a landscaped yard, but with native plantings.
Okay.
Great.
Any other questions from the commission? I don't see any questions from the audience. So we just need to approve this as a minor change to her approved plan. Can I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Joelle?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, you're good to go, Penny.
Great. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is the continuation of a public hearing for Stone Ridge Development, Greystone Pond, 334-1666. They've requested a continuance to October 14th. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So, second.
All in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Joelle?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, our next agenda item is the continuation of a public hearing and issue order of conditions for Castor, 38 Lakeshore Drive North, 334-1753. Somebody there?
I see him listed in the attendees, but I didn't hear from him whether he had any questions or concerns with the order. They did submit the revised plan that you were looking for with the infiltration trench and the detail on the trench.
Jeff Hanford is in attendance,
Oh, okay.
but like
Right.
he's on his phone. So, Jeff, if you're there.
Commission have any other questions as far as the revised plan goes? Noel?
I was able to get down there on my paddleboard in front of the property to look at it from the water. And that the big tree, one of the pine trees that's closest to the back corner that they were asking to cut down, I can understand why they would need to in order to put in a second story because of the way the limbs are. But I'm thinking maybe they could prune the tree instead of cutting it down completely. It's probably one of the biggest trees on that side of the water. And it's a pretty old, substantial tree. So maybe they can prune instead of cutting it down completely.
Hello?
So I know Mr. Castor had his hand raised. I don't know if we can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the casters may want to answer this one.
Can you unmute yourself?
Hey, hello, thanks for unmuting me. Hi. Yeah, that tree's really, really close and very dangerous to the house too. It's be really, really close. And we're gonna plant something else, a better tree than that one.
So what makes it a dangerous tree?
First of all, it'll be really close to the house, and it is so large and old, and during any kind of storm or anything, with now being with a new house, I'd be putting the house at risk. And
I mean, have you had an arborist or anybody look at it to tell you that it's a sick or damaged tree?
I already lost a lot of limbs on the last storm that I had to haul out.
I mean, I get that. I mean, I've lost a lot of trees. I mean, I lost 10 trees in the last microburst that we had. So I understand what you're saying, but what type of tree is this? Is this a pine? Is it deciduous?
It's a pitch pine.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think it was pitch. I think it might be red. Because the pitch pine doesn't get as big as that one in our area. In any case, it is a big pine. It's a big, wide, big
Okay,
round.
it's a big
trunk.
pine. I get that. Okay. Marilyn?
If I heard him correctly, though, he said he planned to replant something. So
We do.
Yeah, I was listening to what Noelle said, though, and she said it was like one of the largest trees there. So, I mean, while, yeah, he can plant another tree, it's not going to be anywhere near the tree that he's removing.
that is true. It comes through the roof of the house.
We will large a decent tree, but we're also one of the lots that, if you voted by, we're probably the only lot that has probably as many trees as the whole side of the lake has. I mean, we have, our waterfront has so many trees. So, I mean, everyone else has, I'm not saying everyone else has, but this lot is a tree lot. You can't even see the cottage from the lake. It's hard to see it because there's so many.
That is absolutely true. Just for my own,
Yeah.
my own curiosity, I did a ride around the water, and I counted, other than the south side of the lake that has, a really steep area, on the north side of the pond, there are only 3 houses that don't have grass right up against the water, and this is one of those houses. And I appreciate how natural the front of this house is. And
We are leaving natural as possible. And we want it to be natural. We don't want people to see our house from the lake. We like the trees, and we're keeping the trees, right? So we're keeping the trees, but this one is definitely affecting the modification that we're doing. I mean, we're there's a lot of trees on this lot.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim?
Jim, right.
Peter?
Yeah, Jim, you there?
Yes. I have a question about the aluminum dock, not the concrete one. That's a temporary structure?
Yes. We've already looked into filing the permits, and we're going to be taking it out.
I guess we don't get involved with the permitting, but we do have to provide something in an order of conditions.
Okay.
My only concern is that aluminum dock is exactly on the property line. And if you're a neighbor to I guess that's I don't see a north, south, east, west, but on the right-hand side of the diagram, we're looking at, if a neighbor decided to put a dock exactly on their property line, you'd have 2 docks that nobody could use because they'd be bumping against each other. I think that dock has to move a little bit off the property line.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commission on the plan? Okay. How about the order of conditions? Any questions from the commission? Margaret?
I had just did a tweak to condition 48 that says that the applicant would obtain a chapter 91 license if one hadn't already been obtained. That was, so it just, Yeah, but just make it a requirement if it hasn't been done. So it was more just changing the language.
Okay,
In that reference to the that licensing, we ought to indicate that the temporary dock shouldn't be right on the property line. It can be, and then I guess we pass it to the selectmen or something, right? Don't they do the annual permitting of temporary docks?
No, they
no, they're
don't.
not gonna do anything. Who are you kidding?
No,
They're not gonna do that.
Right, and I'm
We're
not
not
sure
gonna do it.
that the, if there is any setback or not, that would really be a zoning or a building commissioner question in terms of the setback, if it needs to be. I don't know if that's the case.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
but
know if
we
anybody looks at it or not, but I see it as a problem.
Yeah,
From a
well, we
wetlands
just,
perspective?
he agreed to move it, Jim, so we just need to modify the plan on record that shows the dock being moved. How many feet do you want him to move it? 2 feet, 3 feet?
Sure, 3, 4 feet, something like that.
Okay, is
So that way,
that all right?
when
Okay,
the neighbor puts their dock in, they don't hit each other.
okay. Any other questions on the order conditions? Any questions on the order from the applicant?
No, there's not.
Okay, you good? Okay. So the only thing we're gonna require you is just to redo that dock and move it over 3 feet to the left? Okay.
We're taking it out soon, and when it goes back, if it goes back in after the permit, we'll put it in that way.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the order of condition
As amended or
as
Second,
amended?
as amended? Yeah, okay.
As amended. All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn, Noel,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Yes. So moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Ian.
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, you're all set.
David.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is a continuation of public hearing and issue of conditions for Cole Perry, 73 Nutting Road, Wendell Place, 1752.
Hi, good evening,
Okay.
Matt Waterman.
Yeah, hi, Matt.
Hello.
So we have everything, Carol, right?
It appears that he sent everything that you talked about at your last meeting, yes.
And then some.
Okay. Okay. Any changes to the order of conditions from the commission?
No.
None? Seeing that, Matt, everything fine with you?
Correct. No issues.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the order of conditions?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ian,
Yes.
Peter, yes. Motion to close the public hearing.
Yes. So moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ian,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is the continuation of a public hearing and issue order of conditions for the Westford Tennis Center, 4 Littleton Road, 334-1712. Doug, you there?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Evening.
And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening, Douglas DeShane, representing Michael Sheehan. I'd like to remind the board that, as we all know, we've been at this for quite some time. However, at the end of the day, we had removed any proposed additions from our plans, and we were seeking order of conditions to complete the 2 infill areas which had been previously approved by the commission. The foundations were put in place, and then unfortunately, my client let the orders of conditions expire prior to completion. And so we're asking the board for an order to allow that completion. I recall that at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, or prior to the last meeting, we had reviewed a draft order of conditions. I had gone over that with my client, explaining to him that the conditions the board was imposing were reasonable and acceptable, and that we should move forward with it. And he had agreed to that. I believe I had provided that information to the board and expected that the order would have been signed at the last meeting. I apologize that I was unable to make that meeting. However, I understand now that the commission was looking to amend that draft order to revisit the question of the 30-foot access way. I can only say that, you know, I thought we had been through this. We had provided information from the fire department and the insurance company, stating that they wanted to see that or required that that access stayed put. However, we did agree to a number of conditions on the board. From the board, we agreed to mark that 30-foot access way with posts and placards, and to allow any areas outside of the 30-foot that had been previously disturbed to revegetate. We agreed to limit the mowing and maintenance of that area to a minimum, just to keep the grass at a length that was acceptable for, you know, access and use. We agreed that that area would not be accessed for anything. Nothing would be stored there, and that the only time it would be accessed would be for maintenance or emergency situations. I know the commission had discussed at the last meeting the possibility of adding wording that, should that not be needed, that it would be revegetated. I'm just not understanding of how that would be enforceable. I will remind the board that it is my client's intention to finish those infill areas and obtain a certificate of compliance for that work. And at that point, quite frankly, the site is done. Everything is will be in great shape, and he'd just like to continue on with his business. Should Mr. Sheehan decide at any point to file an order or a request or any other filing to do any other work on the site, it would be well within the jurisdiction of the commission to, at that point, raise the question of whether the 30-foot access way is still required or still needed, and it could be addressed at that point. But if Mr. Sheehan, in fact, gets an order of conditions, completes the work, and never applies for anything else, then the status quo would be maintained. I mean, the access way would be minimally maintained. It wouldn't be used. Nothing would be stored, and the wetlands that would be protected as they are today. The proposed infill work is going to have no impact whatsoever on the wetlands. So I think controlling and limiting the use of that 30 feet now, as we've agreed under that order, is more than sufficient to ensure the commission that nothing's going to change there. Nothing's going to happen. I quite frankly just don't understand why the purpose of that revision. I'm happy to discuss it.
Jim, you had your hand up first.
Yes, Doug, I think my reading of the draft order of conditions that we have right now seems to indicate what you're saying. It says that 30-foot path is for maintenance or emergency use. That's it. Can't be used to park vehicles or leave equipment there unless it's in the course of actually doing the maintenance or emergency access. So I think that's exactly what you were saying was okay by you, right?
Yes, Jim, that is fine, but my understanding was that there was at least a discussion or a proposal that additional language would be added that would somehow provide that if it was no longer needed or necessary, that that area would then have to be revegetated. Maybe that's no longer being proposed and I'm wasting your time.
That was mine, Doug.
If what I'm hearing is that the order of conditions that was previously proposed is still on the table, then I apologize for taking up your time.
Doug, that was my comment. I was looking for additional verbiage because up until the point where we weren't going to build, you were seeking to build in an area, and all of a sudden, you know, you're getting your infill and we're not going to build, and we were looking for additional buffer, and all of a sudden, you know, what becomes a 20-foot buffer, you know, is now required to be a 30-foot area where, you know, the fire department doesn't want us to allow, you know, they want that area to be, you know, maintained so they can get in there for emergency purposes. So, you know, what happens if down the line, you know, we were looking for this additional buffer to the resource area. You're saying you can't provide it because of the fire department and the insurance company want you to maintain that 30-foot. And I'm just worried that, well, you know, we want this buffer now. You're saying you can't provide it to us now, and you give us a reason why you can't provide it. If that changes in the future, then why shouldn't we be able to obtain that buffer that we're seeking now?
Well, first of all, and I know we've discussed this many times, you are correct that we had originally proposed an addition that would have reduced that 30-foot access way just along the area of the addition, which you might recall was in the corner of the building. There still would have been a 30-foot access along the side of the building and all the way to the back to the addition. We had initially thought that we had more area to work with the addition, as you'll recall, and there was still going to be a significant access way behind the addition. When it came to light that we didn't have the room we had and that the commission certainly wasn't going to allow us to build the building, we took it off. But the rest, at no time, even with the addition, were we proposing to impact that 30-foot buffer along the side of the building and probably, you know, roughly 70% of the back. It was just going to be that distance of the addition that we thought it would go down to 20 feet. And again, the fire department would have access around both ways. So it's not like we were proposing to fill in this 30-foot buffer all around the building with building. And now I'm saying we have to have it. So please, you know, that's not the case. And Eric, I just don't understand how the condition would be enforced or how it would be.
I'm not quite sure either, Doug. I just, quite frankly, I don't want us to issue the order and then this come back as like a segmented project where you get your infill and 6 months later we see another notice of intent for the same project you proposed to us before that we had issue with.
Yeah, but Eric, if that happens, if that were to happen, and I'm not proposing it would, if that were to happen, I mean, clearly the board, I would suspect, would react in the same way you did when we approached it the first time, and that is, we can't meet your local bylaw, and therefore you would not support it. And in fact, at that point, I think the commission would have jurisdiction to relook at the 30-foot access way. And then certainly if there was anything proposed in that access way, I think the board would be well within its jurisdiction to now say, you essentially told us that the 30-foot access is no longer needed, and the commission could act accordingly. What I'm concerned about, Eric, is if we get an order of conditions for this infill work and it's done correctly and we get an order of a certificate of compliance, I didn't quite understand what that language would mean, that if it was later determined that it was no longer needed. I mean, would the commission be petitioning the fire department you know, to change their view? Or
I honestly thought that you might be on behalf of your client because it's Doug, Are you unequivocally going to tell me right now your client is not going to come back and seek to redo that portion of the project for which we had issue with before that you removed from this notice of intent?
I cannot tell you what Mr. Sheehan might do or not do. I will tell you this, Eric, I will not be filing an application for an addition to the back of that building. No, I will not. I heard loud and clear how this commission felt about that addition. You pointed out that we did not meet your local bylaw. We found out, unfortunately, that we didn't have the room we thought back there. I mean, you'll recall there was some, we had originally filed based on an older line.
We had you redo the line, I know. We spent
We
some time
reviewed the
here.
line hoping to find more land, and what we ended up finding out, Eric, is that there
You
was
had less.
not the land we thought. So, no, I cannot tell you what Mr. Sheehan may or may not do. However, I can tell you what I will not do because, quite frankly, you've made it clear. Any such addition would not meet your bylaws. And quite frankly, I don't think that anyone on the commission would support it. However, I'm saying to you that any filing by Mr. Sheehan down the road would bring the question of the 30-foot access way back before your board and give you the jurisdiction to require whatever you might feel is necessary in that regard. So I guess I'm asking the board to consider issuing.
So
the
Peter,
order of
I've raised
conditions.
the issue. You've heard his response. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the rest of the commission want to do on this? Jim expressed his view. Marilyn?
Yeah, I would leave the 30-foot. I think that we've managed to put it in a position where we're very clear as to what we want, what we don't want. And I think that it's reasonable to leave it the way it is now.
The way Eric wants it or the way we had it
Not the way Eric wants it, the way that
Okay.
it is
originally had written it?
The fire department has said what they need. This is the way it looks today. I would leave it the way it is for now.
Okay,
Anything else?
Margaret?
I would agree with Marilyn.
Noel?
I would leave it the way it is.
The way it originally was?
But yeah, I would prefer to see it be 20 feet, but I don't.
Right. Okay, so Jim, you're already on board with leaving how we originally written it, correct?
Yes, because I think it makes it clear that the only purposes for that buffer are for emergency access and maintenance, not for storage, not for future construction, nothing else.
Right. Ian?
Yes, okay. Although I agree with Noel, it should only be 20 feet, but we'll go with the way it was proposed at 30.
Okay, so it looks like the commission's going to go back to the original version. Okay, Carol?
Yeah, that's fine. I had only shared some language with you, Peter, and Eric hadn't seen it, so,
Right.
I hadn't shared it with anybody else yet anyway.
Okay. So do we, are there any other modifications to this order that he's saying, that the applicant's saying?
No, sir,
right?
we had agreed to it before.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve this order of conditions?
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter, yes.
Peter,
Motion, yeah. Sorry.
since this is a very old, a long-term hearing, no disrespect to Noel, but has she heard enough of the public hearing information to be able to vote on it?
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think we forgot about that.
Yeah. Noel, you're going to have to abstain because you missed too many of these meetings.
Yeah, Matt, was there anybody else? Did everybody else do their waivers, right? Their mullet?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Okay. Carol, everybody's up to date.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor? Eric?
Aye.
Margaret?
Aye.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel, you can approve closing the hearing.
Abstain.
Jim?
Yes, close the hearing.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, Doug, you're good.
Well, I appreciate all your work. We've been at this a couple of years, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good
Yeah.
night. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on to our next continuation of public hearing order conditions, I think we just need to briefly discuss town council's response to chapter 91 since it had affected this
Peter,
public
can I
hearing.
just also tell you though that the Burns are not able to attend tonight? They've asked that we continue that discussion on the order to the next meeting.
Oh, to the next meeting? Okay. So when do we do that? Can I have a motion to continue this public hearing to September 23rd?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian? Okay, Peter, yes. Okay,
Noel?
discussion of town council's response regarding chapter 9.
Yeah, no,
Oh, did I miss you, Noel? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yes.
Okay. So everybody read the town council letter on chapter 91?
I have.
Okay,
So
so we've got
confused.
nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't sound to me like we have absolutely nothing to do with it. It sounds like the applicant has to put in either a notice of intent or make notice to us that we, that are requesting us to address it. And then we either ignore it, in which case they take it as tacit approval, or we write an order of conditions that says something about it, but we don't issue the license. That's others.
No, we don't issue the license, Jim. All we're doing is approving his dock under the Wetlands Protection Act. That's what we're
Right.
approving. That's it.
Right, that's it. Nothing to do with the licensing, nothing. And if it's
No,
we're not
temporary,
an
they gotta
enforcer.
Nope, nothing to do with it. We're just going to approve it under the wetlands.
permit, go to DEP.
Marilyn?
We ask the selectmen to become harbor masters or anything? I mean, or do we just leave it live here?
Make a chip.
I'll be a harbor master
Yeah,
if you give me a boat.
yeah.
You'd love that.
I made
Yeah.
the same comment. I think that's a pretty cool title, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Jim, you look pretty good with a captain's hat on.
I was in
Yeah.
the Coast Guard.
There we go. Okay, so we're all set with that?
So
Good.
we're not gonna do anything about saying anything out there to the selectmen or anything like that?
No, I mean, it's got nothing to do with it.
Okay, I
Well, if
didn't know.
somebody wants to know who should enforce what they feel might be something that's in non-compliance, then, who are we going to direct them to if not us?
The
Right,
selectmen.
but I think your jurisdiction is only the Wetlands Act and the bylaw, the wetland bylaw. That's the point.
Let's not make our job harder than it is.
Yeah. We're just gonna, you direct them to the selectmen. They're the ones responsible for the chapter 91.
Yeah, I mean, I
And if we
think
see
the other
something that
thing-
looks, if we see something that looks like a problem, we just mention it to the selectmen.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the other thing is several of the ponds have associations or people that are interested and concerned about the lake, and so if we want to give notice to some of those organizations, and just say, it's coming to our attention that a lot of people don't have these licenses, maybe you can help, educate them about that requirement. I mean, that's kind of how the lakes and ponds are functioning as sort of a self-interest group.
Marilyn?
I'm just curious, did we share this letter with the selectmen?
Jody got a copy of it.
Okay.
Yep,
that's
they
all.
were listed in the addressees.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next discussion item, which is a concern with possible conservation restriction intrusion at 5 Calissa Terrace. This is back on, I assume you all read Bill's letter? You all got a copy of Bill's letter?
Yes.
I did, Peter. I thought we put this to bed. I
Well,
did see
Bill-
this letter, but I,
Bill's
yeah,
there, Bill wants to talk about it, so, I put it back on because, he felt he hadn't been heard on this, so. Bill, are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
Peter, can I just add one thing? I guess I didn't realize it was gonna go on again, and I do feel like you should have the property owners on, or have given them some notice.
Well, Bill raised a concern that he never was heard in the past, so I gave him this opportunity to bring it up. I mean, let him talk, and then
Let
you
him
guys
talk.
can decide whether you want to do anything. Bill?
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm very familiar with this area, and so I have two things to report about what's happening right there outdoors. It was said in the past that the swimming pool is over the property line onto the conservation land to some extent. What I want to add to that is that the swimming pool is entirely in the conservation land. Now, one other thing to report to you, which is that while the conservation land in that area around the pool is about 25 feet wide, it also extends in the other direction several hundred feet. And so what I want to add there is that over that entire area, the conditions there currently are like a private property rather than being conservation land. And so those are the two things I want to report. I just want to add this, though, that I'm not suggesting that that was done deliberately, because I don't know anything about that. But because the property line there is not marked, I can sort of sympathize with the people who live nearby, since they really don't, it's very difficult for them to determine where their property line ends and where the conservation land begins. That's my statement right there.
Okay, so Carol, you disagree with Bill's assessment of that, don't you?
Well, so I'm not going to disagree with Bill. What I'm going to say is that the property owners provided you with their assessment, and they don't think that Bill's assessment is correct because he's using the wrong line. And they provided sufficient information, I thought, in writing to you, that everyone agreed that that they were not intruding into the conservation restriction area, and yet there was a question about a trail that one of the trail stewards asked if they could work with a homeowner to relocate.
Okay, so is everybody satisfied that we made the right decision on this, that he's going to move the pool, that we found just the pool was intruding into the conservation area?
But Bill's saying not only is the pool in the CR area, he's saying there's other wood chip and alteration there as well.
Which the homeowner, if you remember, provided you all their documentation.
No, and I appreciate that. So, I'm comfortable with what we told the homeowner previously.
Well, we have an as-built plan, and that's what we're going by. And if Bill doesn't think that's right, I mean, the only option you could do is redo the survey. Margaret?
One of the pieces of information that the homeowner gave us last week, or the last meeting, that I found was potentially relevant, was he talked about there being 2 stone walls on the ground, but that the plans only reference 1 stone wall. So I think part of what I'm wondering is whether that lack of detail on one of the plans means that sometimes it's hard to tell what the correct orientation is if there's really 2 stone walls and somebody's looking at one and thinking it's the other. And so, it just, it's, I don't know that we have any information to identify that anything the homeowner has told us is incorrect.
Okay. Any other comments from the commission? Okay, Bill, we've heard you, but we're going to leave it as it is.
Thank you.
And we do appreciate your efforts, Bill.
Yep, as always. Okay, we're going to move on to our next discussion item, which is the request for order of conditions extension for Lakeside Meadows, 334-1469. How many years are they looking for?
Yeah, can we do this?
So Matt was going to look into it because I think we've only issued 1 extension, but it also fell under the Permit Extension Act. So there was a period of time that it was extended automatically without us without the commission actually having to vote. Is that what you found, Matt?
Yes. So the original order was issued in 2010. So the Permit Extension Act for 4 years plus the 3 of the original order brought it to 2017. In 2017, they requested an extension, which was granted. 3 years brings it to this year. There was a habitat management monitoring report that was submitted by the president of the Lakeside Meadows Homeowners Association, I think is the acronym, back in 2017. And there talks about an annual monitoring event through 2020, which I don't see has happened. So I would be hesitant to recommend the extension without at least reaching out to either the Homeowners Association and or Solitude to see about the status of those monitoring reports as was provided to the commission and explained back in September of 2017 at the end, prior to the issuance of the extension, the extension.
Yeah. My understanding too from the association was that they were really trying to stop doing any further treatment out there because they had done what they thought they could do, you know, and maybe just mowing was going to be enough. So I agree. I mean, this came from Solitude, who's the company that does the treatment, the request, but we didn't talk with the association. So I'd like time to do that. And I think we still have time before it expires.
Yeah.
I'm thinking after 10 years, they should come back and see us again.
Yeah.
Well, and reading this, is this application of chemicals into Nabnasset Lake?
No, it's in the meadow.
The meadow,
Oh, okay, so
right.
it's grassland as opposed to water.
Yeah, they had well, I mean, there's wetland.
Phragmites and the loosestrife.
Yeah, it was Phragmites primarily, the purple loosestrife.
Okay, so this is in that meadow area near the near their beach.
Yeah, that big field. Yep.
Okay.
Could we also find out? Could we also find out exactly what herbicides they're going to plan on using for that?
No, we're not letting them use any. They're gonna come and ask us and tell us all
They gotta
about
come
it.
back.
Oh,
We're
okay.
not gonna approve it.
Well, wait, I'm not clear.
They're
Are you
gonna have to
saying that
refile, a new filing.
So you don't want to grant an extension permit if they want to continue, you want a new notice of intent? That's what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
Okay,
Yeah,
that good?
yeah.
Okay,
I think it should come from the association, not
From the
uh,
NLPA themselves.
Right,
Yeah.
not
No,
a commercial
like
company that
the
wants the job.
Side Meadows.
Okay, so let me just be clear. So their permit is not going to expire until the end of the month. Are you saying that you would let Ron Gagnon, the president, come back in and talk to you at the next meeting? Or are you saying you're not going to grant the extension even if you hear from him and if they want to talk to file a new application?
yeah, I don't think we want to issue another extension, correct?
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that
I
makes
just want
sense.
to make sure I was clear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, our next action items, request for a certificate of compliance, Caldwell 1112 Keys Road.
So I wasn't at the last meeting, but I did listen to the meeting, and unfortunately I don't have my plans with me at home tonight. But Eric, my recollection is that the plan that was submitted to the commission for that order of conditions did show a 6-bedroom house. And whether it had been a 6-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom, the plan, the certificate of compliance that they're seeking for the dwelling did show a 6-bedroom, and they did comply with the work that they proposed to do. And you were right, the septic was approved as a failed system by Bill Turner, doing the emergency certificate.
Okay, well, we're kind of stuck with it.
Okay.
Yeah, can I have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance?
Second.
All in favor, Eric?
Aye.
Margaret?
Aye.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Well,
Do I have to abstain from this? Is this
Probably.
abstain?
probably just abstain, yeah.
Yeah.
None of us were on the commission, or almost none of us were on the commission when this was, this is.
Yeah, this is old. Yeah, I don't, this doesn't matter because it's old.
So old.
Yeah, it's just how you feel. If you have enough information, Noel, do you
I
feel
don't
comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, abstain.
Okay, Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes. Okay, next certificate of compliance, Tanaja, 20 Griffith Road, 3341702. Is that good, Carol?
I went out and
Yeah.
looked at it. It was the demolition of a existing house and reconstruction of a larger dwelling. The landscape, the site, the property is stabilized. There's the markers along the wetlands, along the edge of the property and the wooded areas. Everything looked really good. I think they were minimally, if anything, off the proposed foundation. I don't have the plans here in front of me currently.
Matt, had they removed the erosion control yet?
No, they have not installed the erosion control or removed the erosion control.
Okay, so we just want to make sure they do that before we issue that.
Yep.
You want to hold on it or make it conditional?
Yeah, I think you can vote it, but just we'll let them know that we want to make it conditional.
Okay. I can have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor, Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
And Peter, yes. Okay, what have we got left here? Minutes, August 12th.
Marilyn has an issue.
I just have a little
Marilyn?
just a typo. I'm sorry. I didn't look at it till today, so I didn't send it out. But on page 4
Okay.
of the minutes, second paragraph, where it says the trail steward would like to work on designing the trail to avoid going close to Felderson's backyard. Change the word at the end, NB to NBE, B-E-I-N-G. That's it.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. The
I'm sorry. Instead of the ending with B, which makes no sense, make it being, B-E-I-N-G.
Okay.
That's the only, it's just a typo.
Okay.
Okay. I wasn't there for this meeting. This is the one I missed. Oh, yeah. Okay, all in favor as amended?
Aye. Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Marilyn? Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Peter abstain. Okay. That it? Anybody got anything else?
I did have one thing I didn't bring up at the beginning.
Yep.
I was kayaking through Stony Brook Stream, and I noticed that where the Abbott Mill is, and also the railroad bridge over by East Boston Camps, there's a lot of debris and trash underneath the waterways, where the water is supposed to go through, causing the water to not be able to go through. So I was wondering if that's something that the railroad takes care of, or is that something that we would monitor? Because it's really, the water is swelling up in East Boston Camps and it's not flowing through because of the blockage.
So it's under the railroad crossing.
Well, there's one under the railroad crossing, and then there's one under the road over by the Abbott Mill.
Well, if it's under the road, if it's a town road, then it's the town's responsibility.
Yeah.
Although,
But Noel,
It's
is it the public road, not the private road?
It's a public road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what Abbott Mill is, but I'm not sure where you're talking about exactly under the road.
So I will, I'll look up the exact location and I'll email you. To let you know.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Exactly what.
Okay.
Noel, thinking about this in the future as you're out and about, if you see something like that and you can grab a picture, a lot of times that makes it really easy, so the highway department knows what to look for.
I know. I usually don't bring my phone when I'm on my paddle because I've dropped it before.
Yeah.
Smart.
I will.
Ziploc bag might help,
That's true. Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay,
I
we
know
all
that
set?
just grabbing a picture sometimes really kind of lets you capture it in the moment.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn, Noel,
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Peter, yes. So will I see everybody in 2 weeks?
At the special. Oh,
I think
Oh,
I think